What if everything you've ever heard about spiritual awakening was completely wrong? What if true awakening isn't about endless bliss, escaping reality, or permanently transcending pain, but rather something much deeper, more human, and infinitely more challenging? More than half of all people will experience a powerful spiritual awakening at least once, but few recognize it for what it truly is. Maybe your awakening quietly slipped into your life one afternoon while you stared into a perfect sunset, feeling suddenly connected to something far greater than yourself. Or maybe it arrived through crisis, a painful turning point that shattered everything familiar, leaving you questioning all you'd ever known. Think deeply. Have you ever experienced a moment so profound it divided your life into two clear halves, the person you were before and the person you've become since? These awakening moments feel like glimpsing behind a curtain you never realized existed. Colors become more vivid, emotions deeper, sensations sharper. Alan Watts described it simply yet profoundly. Awakening isn't discovering something new, it's recognizing clearly what's always been there, hidden beneath everyday distraction. Yet the moment of awakening itself is never the end. It's the first step of your true journey. But here's a harsh truth. Most people who experience profound awakenings eventually find themselves back where they started, unchanged, wondering if that powerful experience was just an illusion. Why? Because the real challenge isn't waking up, it's what you do afterward. What you do next matters far more than the awakening itself. The powerful question awaiting you is this: now that you're awake, what will you choose to become? Pause for a moment. Really feel that question, because your answer determines whether your awakening will fade into memory or become the defining shift of your entire life. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman whose awakening was so vivid it seemed almost supernatural. After years of anxiety, self-doubt and confusion, she woke up one day feeling effortlessly clear. Her intuition became razor-sharp, relationships improved, problems seemed trivial, and life felt like an elegant dance she suddenly knew the steps to perfectly. Maybe you've experienced something similar, a period when intuition flows effortlessly, creativity feels limitless, and compassion pours from you with ease. Awakening can feel like discovering hidden superpowers. And in those exhilarating early days, it's easy to believe you're finally invincible, beyond fear or doubt. But here lies a hidden trap that quietly waits in these early euphoric moments: spiritual pride. Ram Dass humorously warned, just because you're seeing divine light or speaking with angels doesn't mean you should forget your zip code. Awakening without humility can quickly become just another ego trip. Sarah initially felt unstoppable, convinced she'd permanently transcended anxiety. But weeks later, at her company's biggest annual meeting, panic gripped her suddenly, mercilessly. Her mind spiraled. She could barely speak, and the room blurred around her. The awakening that had once felt unshakable now shattered into sharp doubt. In that painful moment, Sarah believed she had lost everything. Yet here's what Sarah, and what you must understand clearly: the most powerful part of your awakening isn't the initial euphoria or intuition. Your real power emerges when you realize awakening isn't about escaping your fears, it's about courageously facing them head-on. So what about you? When your shadows inevitably return, what will you do? Because they will return. The real test isn't whether shadows reappear, it's how you respond when they do. If you've ever faced this struggle or fear your clarity will fade, keep listening, because the secret to lasting transformation is about to become incredibly clear. Here's something most spiritual teachers hesitate to talk about. Over 70% of people who experience powerful awakenings eventually face periods of intense darkness, confusion, or even despair afterward. It's the hidden side of awakening, rarely discussed openly, but if you're going through this now or ever have, know you're not alone. Remember Sarah? After her humiliating panic attack at that crucial company meeting, she began to spiral. Doubts filled her mind. Had her awakening even been real? Was she fooling herself the entire time? Anxiety returned stronger than ever, crushing her confidence, isolating her from friends and family. She found herself waking each night at 3 in the morning, heart racing, desperately questioning everything she'd once believed true. Maybe you felt this too. Maybe your shadows have returned stronger, darker, more overwhelming than before your awakening. It feels cruel, like you've fallen from a great height. But here's the surprising truth. This moment of darkness, this descent into fear, isn't proof your awakening failed. It's evidence your true journey is finally beginning. Carl Jung wisely said, one doesn't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your awakening wasn't meant to free you permanently from pain, it was meant to give you the courage to confront that pain directly. Even Buddha himself, after enlightenment, faced Mara repeatedly, the embodiment of temptation and fear. But instead of fighting Mara, he calmly invited him to sit and have tea. That simple, profound gesture contains the secret to your greatest power. So right now, pause. Think of your deepest fear or insecurity. Can you imagine inviting it in calmly, like Buddha invited Mara, not as an enemy, but as a guest who holds a secret lesson just for you? Sarah finally understood her anxiety wasn't a monster to defeat. It was a frightened part of herself she needed to embrace. She began quietly meeting her fears with compassion, curiosity, and kindness, and slowly, almost miraculously, something shifted. The darkness didn't vanish completely, but it lost its power over her. Her shadows became her greatest teachers, guiding her deeper than the initial bliss of awakening ever could. If you're feeling overwhelmed by shadows right now, keep listening carefully, because the next chapter of your journey holds the key you've been searching for, the key that can finally turn your awakening into genuine, lasting transformation. Chapter 4: Integration. Here's an unsettling truth. Studies reveal that nearly 80% of spiritual insights, no matter how profound, fade quickly without practical integration. You can experience awakening 1,000 times, but unless you actively integrate it into your everyday life, nothing really changes. Imagine planting a seed deep in fertile soil. Awakening is that seed, bursting with potential. But integration is the daily care, watering, tending, nurturing that allows it to grow into something real and lasting. Without constant care, even the most profound awakening fades away, leaving only memories of what could have been. Think about your own life right now. Are you integrating your awakening into daily routines, conversations, and decisions? Or does your insight float above reality, inspiring in theory but meaningless in practice? Sarah realized something had to change. Her awakening had remained isolated, an idea rather than a lived reality. Every morning she meditated beautifully, yet by lunchtime she'd snap impatiently at colleagues or feel overwhelmed by emails and deadlines. She began to wonder, what's the point of awakening if it doesn't actually change my life? Then she discovered the Zen proverb: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. True integration doesn't happen in silent meditation or peaceful solitude. It happens in rush hour traffic, tense family dinners, and overwhelming work days. Sarah made small but powerful choices. She chose patience when irritation was easier, empathy when judgment felt justified, calm when chaos overwhelmed. Gradually, her spiritual insights became concrete, practical habits, transforming ordinary days into extraordinary opportunities. Here's a surprising scientific truth. Neuroscience has shown that integrating mindful awareness into daily activities physically reshapes your brain, reducing stress, fear, and anxiety, while increasing emotional intelligence, empathy, and resilience. Your awakening isn't just spiritual, it's biological, tangible, measurable. But integration isn't automatic. It demands daily practice and humility. Ram Dass once joked, if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. Integration isn't proven in easy moments, but tested through everyday conflicts, mundane chores, and stressful responsibilities. It's here, amid life's complexity, that your awakening finally proves real. Ask yourself honestly now, are you living your awakening practically, daily, deliberately? Or is it still waiting quietly for you to take action? Keep listening closely, because the next chapters will show exactly how to bring your awakening vividly into daily life, transforming not just you, but everyone around you. Chapter 5. Living Your Awakening. It's a surprising fact, fewer than half of the people who experience powerful spiritual awakenings ever genuinely change the way they live their lives. Think about that carefully. Less than half. Most awakenings quietly fade away, forgotten as life continues unchanged, simply because they're never fully lived out. If you've ever worried that your awakening might vanish like a forgotten dream, the solution is clear. You must consciously, actively, and courageously bring your awakening into real life. Remember Sarah. After weeks of consciously integrating her insights, her everyday life began to transform. But the changes weren't dramatic at first. They were subtle and quiet, yet deeply powerful. In challenging conversations, she listened carefully, rather than reacting defensively. During stressful deadlines, she paused to breathe deeply, choosing calm over panic. With each small choice, Sarah's awakening became increasingly visible to others. Friends and family noticed the difference. They asked what had changed, sensing something quietly profound in her presence. Her colleagues began turning to her instinctively, drawn by her calm clarity. Sarah never preached or lectured. She simply lived her insights consistently, humbly, and practically. Her life itself became her strongest message, far louder and clearer than words ever could. This is the essence of living your awakening. It isn't about dramatic gestures or becoming spiritually superior. It's about quietly embodying compassion, patience, humility, and genuine kindness within the daily realities of your life. Joseph Campbell called this crucial stage returning with the elixir, the moment the hero shares newfound wisdom, transforming not just themselves but the entire community. Your awakening, fully lived, becomes your elixir, powerful, transformative, and undeniably real. But here's another hidden challenge that can sabotage your progress: spiritual pride. The quiet belief that awakening somehow makes you special or superior is a subtle poison, quietly undermining your progress. Ram Dass humorously warned, just because you're conversing with angels doesn't mean you should forget your zip code. Your awakening must remain grounded, practical, human. True spiritual insight always deepens your humility, never your ego. So pause and ask yourself right now, does your awakening isolate you from others or draw you closer to genuine connection? Does it inflate your ego or deepen your humility? How you answer these questions will reveal clearly whether your awakening is genuinely transforming your life or merely inflating your sense of self. As Sarah lived her awakening, her ambitions shifted quietly but radically. Status, money, approval, these lost importance, replaced by deeper, simpler desires, authentic service, meaningful relationships, genuine compassion. Neuroscience confirms these changes. Regular mindfulness practice physically reshapes your brain, making compassion and empathy your new default state. Your awakening, fully embodied, literally rewires your biology, transforming not only how you feel, but who you fundamentally become. This biological truth is powerful evidence of what awakening can achieve, but only if you choose daily, practical action. Awakening never happens by accident. It demands conscious, courageous decisions every single day. It demands you show compassion instead of anger, patience instead of frustration, understanding instead of judgment. Each small decision matters profoundly. Right now, commit clearly to yourself. Will you allow your awakening to quietly fade away, becoming nothing but a distant memory, or will you courageously live it fully, practically, and authentically every day? The choice is yours, and in your decision lies the difference between a life forgotten and a life genuinely transformed. Chapter 6. The Ever-Evolving Journey. Here's the biggest misconception about spiritual awakening, and it keeps countless people stuck, confused, and disappointed. Most assume awakening is a final destination, a permanent state of bliss, clarity, and perfection. But what if the truth was exactly the opposite? What if true awakening is never finished, never perfected, but rather a continuous lifelong journey that constantly evolves, deepens, and transforms? Life itself is cyclical. Seasons of clarity alternate with seasons of confusion. Periods of profound growth follow times of stagnation and doubt. Your spiritual awakening mirrors this natural rhythm. Like the lotus rising again and again from the mud, your awakening isn't a single event. It's a continuous, beautiful, endless process. The moment you believe you've reached some final level of enlightenment, Life gently, or sometimes forcefully, reminds you there's always another layer waiting to be discovered. Neuroscience offers an incredible insight here. Your brain is endlessly adaptable, constantly reshaping itself through new experiences, mindfulness, and reflection. Just as your biology continuously changes, your spiritual journey continuously unfolds, never static, never complete. Each insight you gain is merely an invitation to the next mystery. Every shadow conquered leads to deeper shadows still waiting patiently within you. Think again about Sarah, whose journey began with powerful awakening, plunged through darkness, found clarity through integration, and then transformed her life through conscious, compassionate action. Yet Sarah eventually realized something profound and deeply humbling. Every answer she discovered merely revealed deeper questions. Every shadow overcome led her to another, deeper layer of self-understanding. Awakening, she learned, wasn't a destination, it was the ongoing privilege of a lifetime. Joseph Campbell called this continuous return the privilege of a lifetime. The hero, he said, doesn't just return home once, they return repeatedly, each time wiser, each time with richer gifts to share. You are that hero now, on a journey that will never end, always carrying wisdom deeper into your daily life, family, and community. Your awakening becomes a lifelong responsibility, not just a personal privilege, but a collective one. And here's the beauty. As you continually evolve, others notice and feel inspired. Not by grand gestures or speeches, but simply through your quiet, authentic presence. Your awakening quietly transforms your friends, family, co-workers, even strangers. Everyone you encounter subtly receives an invitation toward their own growth. Without realizing it, you become a beacon, guiding others gently toward deeper self-awareness, compassion, and understanding. But there's another truth hidden here. Your shadows will inevitably return repeatedly. Awakening isn't about permanently overcoming darkness. It's about courageously meeting it again and again with greater kindness and clarity. Each time shadows reappear, you're stronger, wiser, and better equipped. This isn't failure, it's evolution. Your darkness no longer frightens you, it patiently teaches you, inviting you deeper into genuine wisdom and compassion. Now consider this deeply. Your awakening isn't just yours alone. It belongs to the world. The gifts you've gained, compassion, patience, empathy, clarity, aren't meant to be locked away privately. They're meant to ripple outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully comprehend. Your awakening is now a quiet responsibility, demanding consistent, humble action, not for praise or admiration, but simply because the world desperately needs your light. So here's my final invitation to you. Commit fully to this lifelong journey. Face uncertainty with courage. Embrace shadows with kindness. Integrate your insights into small daily choices. And never stop exploring, because your awakening is never complete, always evolving, always offering deeper insights and richer experiences. Imagine right now what the world could look like if everyone courageously chose this path, fully embracing their ever-evolving awakening. Imagine the depth of compassion, connection, and clarity possible for humanity. That world isn't a distant dream, it begins with you right here, right now. If this message has resonated deeply with you, don't let it end here. Share your own awakening story below in the comments. Take a moment right now, click like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who urgently needs this reminder. Your awakening matters profoundly, and together, through conscious, humble action, we can quietly change the world, one awakening at a time.